up, Jen? Welcome back to the Kristan Hawkins Show. I cannot believe we finally get to have this episode. Today, we're going to be talking about how the one big, beautiful budget is now the law of the land. It's no longer a bill. It's been passed. It's been signed. I was watching it live on TV on 4th of July. And Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion vendor, the abortion Goliath, has been defunded for the first time ever for a period of 1 year. We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to break it all down, what it means, and now what we must do. All right, so I know I have been, maybe I should apologize for this, like a broken record for 19 years that we should defund Planned Parenthood. And as pro-life students and Students for Life leaders and alumni of Students for Life, you all have certainly heard it over the years. You've seen the campus tours, the banners, the t-shirts, the rallies we've done. We've been pretty focused at Students for Life America and the whole of pro-life generation on defunding Planned Parenthood. And it was so exciting on Independence Day to get to the TV. I had to find the cable news, which I have a little bit of an interesting cable setup, and actually watch live in real time President Trump finally sign into law that defunds Planned Parenthood. It was kind of surreal. It was so exciting. On Thursday, July 3rd, it was the day the House was going to pass the Senate passed version, and I was so stressed out. I took the family for a hike on top of a mountain, and Hakeem Jeffries kept filibustering. It's not really a filibuster in the House, but it's basically what he was doing. So I was watching it live. I just had it in my pocket, and I kept hearing him talk, so I knew we were fine. And then we were coming down the mountain. It started raining, and then finally the vote was going to happen. I was able to watch that vote in live on the side of a mountain. I was shocked. My family was surprised. I'm never really on my phone on the mountain. It was an exciting moment, and I quickly wrote a very nice thank you text to House Speaker Mike Johnson for really shepherding this through the whole process from the House to the Senate back to the House. I cannot overemphasize to you what a historic victory this is. Now, we didn't get everything we wanted. I'm still disappointed. I mean, my job really is I have to remind my friends on Capitol Hill this all the time. Like, my job is to always want more and be disappointed. So I am disappointed because I know we could have done better. We could have seen Planned Parenthood defunded for 10 years, which could have been the nail in Planned Parenthood's coffin, because the House version defunded Planned Parenthood for 10 years of their Medicaid funding. Now, there's a lot of there's people in the pro-life movement who I guess get joy out of always being negative. So I saw something on social media for one of my friends. It was like, Planned Parenthood hasn't been defunded. It's only their Medicaid funding. Everyone is lying to you. Okay. Generally, we use the word defunded. And what happened in this bill is you can't put in a budget reconciliation bill, we defund Planned Parenthood of all taxpayer dollars. You can't do that because it's supposed to be about the budget, right? There is a federal bill, the bill to defund Planned Parenthood. It's been introduced a number of times in both the House and the Senate. Senator Rand Paul, ironically, who I think voted against the reconciliation bill in the Senate, is the sponsor of the defund Planned Parenthood bill. The challenge is it's not going to go anywhere. Why? Because the Senate still has the filibuster, and you need 60 senators to vote to end debates, to evoke cloture in order to actually vote on a bill. And that means if you don't have 60 votes in the Senate, you can't get your bill passed. So the bill to defund Planned Parenthood still does not have the votes we need. We have the votes in the House. We do not have the votes in the Senate. Why 2026 is going to be so important. Stay tuned for my podcast on that, right? So that can't happen. The best you could do in a budget reconciliation bill is defund Planned Parenthood of 80% of their taxpayer dollars, which is Medicaid funding. This is the funding that's never, ever been defunded from Planned Parenthood. And they've been receiving Medicaid funding since before I was conceived, before my parents began dating. This was like early 70s. They've been receiving Medicaid money, federal Medicaid money. So this was still a big deal. They have been defunded of 80% of their taxpayer funds, which is their Medicaid money, which is all the money we could actually legally defund them in a budget reconciliation bill. So I know on social media it's kind of hard in like 5 seconds on a graphic to like explain that. I always get in trouble because I'm always putting too many words on graphics, right? But that's the long and the short of it. This is a historic moment because this has never happened before. This means Planned Parenthood will be defunded for about $500 million of their nearly $800 million in taxpayer funding in the next year. Now, why did it go from 10 years from when it passed the House to 1 year in the Senate? I don't know. I'm still waiting on a call. I've been assured that Senate Majority Leader John Thune worked really hard and this was the best he could do. I don't know. I kind of have doubts because if defunding Planned Parenthood and all abortions, remember we were very clear, this is defunding Planned Parenthood and all abortion vendors. The reason we kept saying defund Planned Parenthood and big abortion was because the way it was written in the bill, it wasn't just targeted to Planned Parenthood. Republicans tried that in about, I think it was 2017. We had written defund Planned Parenthood Medicaid funding in the budget reconciliation bill. The unelected Senate parliamentarian who has been in her job since she was appointed by the pro-choice Democrat, Harry Reid, she said it didn't survive the Byrd rule because it was basically too mean. It was targeting one person, one entity. They say corporations are persons according to Supreme Court. So I guess I'm not grammatically wrong on that. But they said you couldn't do that because it was just targeting one vendor, Planned Parenthood. So when this opportunity came around, Republicans were a lot smarter and said it's not just Planned Parenthood's not even written in there. It's just any abortion vendor who makes over $800,000 a year and receives Medicaid funding. And so that's what's on the bill. So when we were saying to people defund Planned Parenthood and big abortion, it's any abortion vendor. We were very, very specific on that point for that reason. So if you were like, why do they keep saying that? That's why. So that survived the Byrd, they call it the Byrd bath. Remember like your grandparents used to have like those like bird baths in their front yards. Does anybody remember what bird bath is? I remember. It's like just like a tray, and then the birds would come and splash in the water. It was like a pool for birds. So Robert C. Byrd, the longtime U.S. Democratic senator who actually was the leader of the KKK in West Virginia, and who I think may still hold the record for the longest filibuster in U.S. Senate history. I don't know. Cory Booker might have just taken him out of that. Filibustering the Civil Rights Act. Okay. The Democrats. No, it's crazy. There's this Byrd rule, and it means that the Senate parliamentarian gets to line by line go through budget reconciliation bills and say whether or not they survive this Byrd rule, meaning that it applies and it can be passed. I don't know. It's very complicated and very nuanced and very dorky. But my question is, if defunding Planned Parenthood and big abortion for 1 year passed and survived the Byrd bath, as they call it in DC, why wouldn't it have 10 years done that? So I think that we have some questions for the Senate Majority Leader, like how hard did they actually fight? Was defunding to Planned Parenthood 10 years taken out because it was a bargaining chip for something else? I don't know. I have a feeling there was some closed door negotiations happening, but it's still big news. And it also means that now in every future budget reconciliation bill, Republicans are going to have to fight like dogs to keep defunding Planned Parenthood in there. Why? Because it means pro-life groups will be scoring budget reconciliation votes, which, by the way, they hate because they're always very messy and very nuanced. There's a bunch of crap in there. It means we're going to have to score every budget reconciliation vote here on out for a pro-life vote. So you're going to have people like Senator Rand Paul and Congressman Tom Massey, who are like fiscal hawks, obsessed with the debt and the deficit, who literally like vote against like every budget reconciliation bill out of principle, who are really pro-life leaders, right? They're staunch pro-lifers. They've introduced pro-life bills, who truly in their hearts, I believe, are very pro-life, who are going to start getting bad scores because they're voting against budget reconciliation bills, because now it wasn't just one vote, it's now going to be every single vote. So like my argument on X/Twitter going into this was stupid for the Senate Republicans, because honestly, they should have just kept the courageous House language to defund Planned Parenthood 10 years, because then we wouldn't have been bugging them. Because now we get to bug all the Senate and House GOP every single budget reconciliation bill and turn it into a pro-life vote, which I know for a fact they don't want to have happen. So Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike Johnson, actually, our Defender of Life Award winner. I was honored to give him his award at our National Celebrate Life Gala just a week before this bill passed. Speaker Mike Johnson actually said on, I think it was like one of the Fox News Sunday shows this past weekend, that they're looking to do maybe as many as 2 more budget reconciliation bills before the 2026 midterms, which would be like massive and historic. This has been a big fight just from January to July to get this one done. That means we still have a lot of work to do, a lot of work. And I guess I can't shut up about defunding Planned Parenthood. I swear my husband twitches every time I say the word Planned Parenthood anymore, because that's always heard come out of my mouth for the past 6 months since Congress started. And then really he's been hearing it for 19 years. So this was a great victory. It's a good step in the right direction. This is an important piece of the puzzle into ending Planned Parenthood, which is like, I don't know, Planned Parenthood acts like it's a surprise that we want to put them out of business. They were doing all these like Instagram posts like, this is a backdoor abortion ban. I guess you caught me. I guess you don't listen to the Kristan Hawkins Show. I don't know, because like I've been very clear we want to shut down Planned Parenthood because of the nation's leading abortion vendor. But this means we got a lot more work to do. So where do we go from here? Okay, so Planned Parenthood. So Alex McGill Johnson, their new president, who's kind of in a pickle because they're freaking out, right? They kill a baby Planned Parenthood kills a baby every 77 seconds, and they're saying this is the end of healthcare for vulnerable people, for the vulnerable. No, it's actually the beginning of. It's the beginning of salvation. It's the thing that's going to save them, right? For a lot of vulnerable people. They're saying, and Alex McGill Johnson saying, that they could close nearly 200 of their Planned Parenthood facilities in 24 states because of this defunding bill and this defending measure. That they've got a little over 500. So that's more than a third. And so, that's awesome, right? I think the challenge with that is it was only defunding for a year. So, Abby Johnson, my good friend and former Planned Parenthood, she was Employee of the Year at one point, has said, and I totally agree with her, like they could probably survive a year without federal funding. They probably have got money in savings. They make $2 billion a year. So they probably have $500 million in savings accounts or whatever. They've already been telling Democratic governors, like, we need more money, step it up. They're going to go to like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and George Soros, all those big, billionaires who are population control advocates. I think there's too many people on this earth who give them money and ask them to like float them alone. That's the challenge. So I don't know if the 200 clinics is for real, or if that's her like scare tactic, or maybe she was thinking that if they were defunded 10 years. I know what they're trying to do, right? The narrative that they're trying to build with, the mushy middle and pro-abortion voters in our country. The 24 states, we've seen states in the past few years, really in the past 10 years, start to defund Planned Parenthood of state Medicaid money. That was that whole Medina Supreme Court case, right? That we just saw a huge victory in, where South Carolina, through Henry McMaster's, the governor's proclamation, they had defunded Planned Parenthood state money. And then Planned Parenthood, this is how crazy they are, thought that they're so entitled to taxpayer money. They went to the Supreme Court and they actually argued that they're entitled, the women in South Carolina are entitled to use free healthcare dollars that they get for taxpayers to go to Planned Parenthood. It's crazy. It's a crazy argument. Because like even people who have private health insurance, I'm not entitled with my private health insurance that I pay for to go to any health provider I want to. I have to go to providers that are in my network. And it's like super annoying, especially for families like me who have, very complicated medical illnesses going on. It gets really complicated, but and I pay for my health insurance. Like that's crazy. So we had that big victory to Supreme Court. So now Planned Parenthood's, panicked, right? So you had South Carolina, Texas, I think Tennessee, other states have moved to say, listen, even if you get federal Medicaid reimbursement, we're not going to reimburse you with our state Medicaid dollars because Medicaid, as I explained before, is a block grant. It's like a matching grant. Your state gets $1 billion from the federal government. Your state has to put $1 billion in. Then you have $2 billion for Medicaid for the state. That's how it works. So the states most affected are going to be the blue states that haven't defunded Planned Parenthood, that still spend state taxpayer dollars, allow women to spend state taxpayer dollars in Planned Parenthood, who are now no longer going to be able to match it with the federal money. So that's California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Iowa, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, New Mexico, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Virginia, Washington. And it's actually already begun. Like even before the bill was even signed into law, Planned Parenthood in Cleveland announced they were shutting down because of funding cuts. Yay. I have like a little side hustle tracker of Planned Parenthood that shut down since the beginning of January. And we are like over 22 Planned Parents just that we have tracked via social media through supporters who email me back when I send all of my email fundraising notes out, who've told me Planned Parenthood have shut down. We're over 22 that we know of that have shut down, mostly in blue states. There's only been, I think in my tracker, only 2 that have shut down in red states in Utah. So this is great news. But we still have more work to do because, like I said, it's a year. It's a year. What do we have to do? So here's the marching orders. And I'm sorry if you thought, oh gosh, Planned Parenthood defunded. I no longer have to wear pink. I hate wearing pink. I no longer have to talk about Planned Parenthood up here. Sorry, you got homework. First, Planned Parenthood. So if I'm Planned Parenthood, right, and I've just been defunded of roughly a third, maybe more of my funding, I've got to go to and get new patients who are going to be able to pay cash or use private health insurance. That's what I would have to do, right? If I'm like business Kristan, right? Where are they going to find paying clients who can pay cash or use private health insurance? Are they going to go to low income neighborhoods and try to get new patients? Nope. They're going to go online and they're going to go on college campuses where there's a whole bunch of people still on mommy and daddy's health insurance plan. When school starts in August, every Students for Life leader must be prepared. There's going to be, how there's this like welcome back fairs. Every school calls them something different, right? Where there's all the clubs, and then all the freshmen get to walk through and try to find their tribe, find the places they want to join. Yeah. Planned Parenthood's going to be there. In fact, Abby Johnson talks about that's how she first met Planned Parenthood, was when she was a freshman in college, the first week in college, and she met them at the club recruitment fair. Planned Parenthood, they've been infamous for giving out, I have pictures of like 2-for-1 morning after pills. They're free condoms, which at one point Consumer Reports ranked condoms like 10 years ago, and Planned Parenthood was giving out free condoms, and they were like the lowest ranked from Consumer Reports, which kind of makes sense because if you're an agency that makes money off of killing babies and diagnosing STDs, you don't actually want to give away good condoms. Like, don't get your condoms from Planned Parenthood, who literally profits off of your despair and bad decision making. So just FYI on that front. But Planned Parenthood's going to be there. They're going to have the free pink condoms. They will probably have the buy one, get one morning after pill coupons. They will have cute little cups and tumblers and stickers with slogans that sound great about reproductive rights. They are going to launch a massive assault on our college campuses to recruit paying clients to keep crappy clinics going. That's what they're going to do. One. So if you are a Students for Life leader, if you are on campus Or if you are online and active online, which most of you are, please be on high alert and ready to come back. We're going to launch at Students for Life. I told our team about it yesterday, kind of a come back to school, fight back against Planned Parenthood kit. And it's a lot of our materials that we've already made, but we're going to try to get them out to you and you can order them. So stay tuned for that. Next step, and this is going to be in the form of petitions. This is going to be in the form of calls. This is going to be in the form of lobby days. We've got to get Congress in the next budget reconciliation bill, which we think might happen before Christmas. They're going to ruin Christmas. I mean, they stress me out for 4th of July. What other holiday can they stress me out for, right? Okay. But anyway, it'd be a great Christmas gift if they got defunded for like 10 years. There's going to be another budget reconciliation bill vote. We are going to have to fight again to get the House to put 10 years back into the reconciliation bill and to get the Senate to keep the 10 years in there. Now, there's going to be fights on both sides. People in the House were mad that pro-lifers weren't happy enough with 1 year. And so they're going to say, we shouldn't put 10 years in because remember, pro-lifers were mad when we had to re-vote on the Senate bill. It was only 1 year. We don't want them to be mad at us. So let's just do one. So we're going to have to fight to get our friends in the House of Representatives to do the hard thing, which politicians don't like to do, but put 10 years of defunding in the budget reconciliation bill. And our mantra is, if it passed the Byrd rule with 1 year defunding, it can pass with 10. So I want to thank you, be the first to thank the pro-life generation. You guys stepped up in a massive way this spring, calling your U.S. senators, calling House of Representatives members, going and visiting district offices. Like, you guys were relentless and it showed. And I'm going to tell you what, it worked. Sadly, we could not get other pro-life groups to kind of join us in like going to district offices and making the calls. And I was a little disappointed. I feel like everybody was like out on a vacation in May. But you guys worked so hard. And I want to thank you for that because that really showed. Like, it really matters. When I put out like an X post about, I don't know what we're going to do. The Senate bill is not as good as the House bill. How are we, basically like we're disappointed. You would not believe the amount of texts and calls that our staff got. Like, people on Capitol Hill, it's fascinating to me. Like, watch what I post on X and then like get upset about it. And then they were calling because they know how powerful you all are. And they know the impact that you made. And they want to make sure you're happy. So that's a really good thing. So we're going to have to keep the pressure on. We're going to have to run more Contact Congress campaigns, more district office visits, more federal lobby days. So just stay tuned for that. We're kind of waiting to see when the next reconciliation bill is going to be. Okay. The next step, so college campuses, we got to fight back on college campuses, online. We're going to have to push for 10 years of defunding in the next budget reconciliation bill. Because remember, like, if the Republicans don't put defunding of Planned Parenthood in every single budget reconciliation bill now until forever, that becomes a pro-choice vote, which they're not going to want to have on the record before the midterms, especially these midterms, okay? The third step is going to be something that the administration, the Trump administration, can do. It's not a legislative task. And so we're going to have to push the Trump administration to debar Planned Parenthood, which would ensure full defunding of Planned Parenthood. Debarment, as I've explained before, go back to the past episodes, it's a government tool that they use within the agency. So if they give you money to build a bridge and you build a bad bridge, you embezzle money from your company and go take your family to Hawaii while your contractor's building a bridge, and then you don't get your bridge done on time, they start investigating and figure out what's going on, you can be debarred, meaning you can't apply or receive federal funds for three years, and you can't do business with anybody else who receives federal funds because they don't want you to set up like a shell corporation where you're like getting money from this agency is getting federal funds, giving it to this one who can't. That would be 100% defunding because, as I talked about before, the reconciliation bill can only defund of 80%, the Medicaid money. The rest of the 20% money Planned Parenthood gets are in like random grants, right? Title 10 grants. They got grant money for Zika, the mosquito-borne virus. Years ago, they applied for all these like little grants at HHS. So to fully defund them, so like 100%, barred from all federal taxpayer dollars. You need to debar Planned Parenthood. And I know I've been the only pro-life leader saying this word. And I hope everyone else catches on and starts using this word, because we really need folks to say defund and debar and defund, however you want to say it. Debarment is the only 100% sure method beyond voting, passing a bill, getting 60 votes in the Senate, which we're kind of far away from, especially since Republicans keep letting pro-choicers in the Republican Party and allowing them to get to federal office. Mind blown on that one. Okay. So debarment can be started. So we know Planned Parenthood illegally took COVID paycheck protection money that was supposed to be given to small businesses. They had their affiliates apply for it, which it's illegal because all the affiliates are part of the larger conglomerate, which is a $2 billion business. Anyway, they applied, got $80 million. We proved that they were supposed to give back. They never gave it back. Kelly Loeffler, former senator, Georgia senator, U.S. senator, she is the SBA, Small Business Administration Administrator, appointed by President Trump. She can start debarment proceedings today at SBA for what we know is already a federal crime that Planned Parenthood committed. If she would debar them, it wouldn't just mean they couldn't get money from SBA. They couldn't get money from any agency, because debarment is agency-wide. So we've got work to do. Thankfully, Senator Rand Paul has already started, I believe, working and sending some letters to SBA Administrator Loeffler on this. We've got a letter we're going to be sending. So this is a really big deal. But I just want to tell you, so you have 3 kind of action steps where we need to go. Planned Parenthood ain't going to take this line down. Already this week, as soon as President Trump signed the big, beautiful bill into law, they said they were going to sue. I mean, this is what the left does. There's a whole book, I have it somewhere, my mentor Phyllis Schlafly wrote it years ago, on judicial tyranny, right? This is how the left, like in Wyoming, for example, just like 2 miles from where I'm filming right now, in Wyoming, we have a Republican governor who is basically a Democrat. So we pass pro-life laws in the Wyoming legislature. He keeps appointing pro-choice people to the Supreme Court in Wyoming. And every single time, so like when we pass our Chemical Abortion Prevention Act, which bans chemical abortions, which is the leading cause of abortion in Wyoming, because it's Wyoming and there's not like city centers, the Supreme Court, invalidated it. So basically we can't get, and I was just in China a couple months ago meeting with legislators, like Senate President and Vice President there. You can't get pro-life laws actually passed and then enacted in Wyoming because of judicial tyranny. That's what's happening. Like, there's nothing I was asking these Senate leaders, like, well, what can we pass? And like, nothing, because every single thing, Planned Parenthood and the abortion lobby is going to sue. And then it's going to go to the judge in Teton County, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, who's just like the one blue part of Wyoming, who will put an injunction. And then if it goes to the Supreme Court, they'll side with them. That's judicial tyranny. This is how the Democrats, this is how the left sadly has been operating for years in our country. And this is why we just saw this victory this week with the Supreme Court finally saying, no, President Trump can fire a bunch of people in the federal workforce, because they sued and said that the president, the leader of the executive branch, didn't have the right to fire who he wanted to fire. I mean, this is, we had that ruling a couple of weeks ago from the Supreme Court. They said, once again, these random judges in Podunk, wherever, are like filing nationwide injunctions against deportations. And there's not, like, every single person who's being deported isn't even on the case. Like, how can one random district judge make an injunction to like stop the president of the United States? It's crazy. And this is how the left operates. And they've been operating like this for decades. And I'm so glad that basically now the Republican Party and conservatives are like getting it, that if you actually want to get stuff done, you have to stop these judicial unelected tyrants from stopping the will of people. Because guess what? Love them or hate him, the majority of people vote for Donald Trump, but they voted for his policies and what he's enacting, right? And you can disagree with it. And you can say, I think it's wrong. I think it's immoral, whatever your disagreement is. But you should be able to say, well, yeah, this one random judge can stop everything, right? Because then what do you have here? You want to talk about, King's protests. The Kings are really in the judiciary. So this is what Planned Parenthood did this right after the bill. This Monday, they went to a federal district court in Shock Blue, Massachusetts. And a woman, Judge Ira Tawali, issued a temporary injunction saying that Congress, doing its job, which, Congress' job is to pass bills and decide on funding, was acted unconstitutionally to defund Planned Parenthood. Yeah. So now there's a 14-day injunction. So I guess Planned Parenthood for the next 12 more days gets to continue to receive taxpayer funding with Medicaid. I guess it'll end up in the Supreme Court. I hope and pray the Trump administration's DOJ steps up and fights this because this is judicial tyranny and a very fine example of judicial tyranny. So just so you know, we have three action items, three places we have to fight to continue this fight. Just so you know, Planned Parenthood ain't going to take this line down. They kill one baby every 77 seconds in our country. Over 1,000 babies a day, with more than used to be, and until this injunction goes away, with still continued with over $2 million of our taxpayer funds every single day. They are the nation's leading abortion vendor. They are the nation's leading abortion propagandists. They are one of the leading forces in democratic politics. They ain't going to go away. It's not like a simple business thing for them, right? Or sometimes you'll have businesses where you've got a founder who loves the business, had a great idea, made a bunch of money, and then suddenly the market shifts, right? AI comes in and destroys the business, and the business owner is like, listen, I got to sell, I got to get out. I don't lose my shirt. I had a great run at this point, but now the market shifted. I got to go do something else. They ain't thinking like that. These are ideologues. They want abortion. In fact, Alex McGill Johnson, the new president of Planned Parenthood, is the new president of Planned Parenthood because the previous president, Leanna Wen, was fired because she wasn't promoting abortion enough. And they didn't feel like she was championing abortion enough. And she wasn't proud and didn't want to have abortion everywhere. This new president of Planned Parenthood, it's all about abortion. She's proud that they're the nation's largest abortion vendor. They want to shout it, and they have been shouting it from the rooftops. Shout it from the Capitol Dome. They want to end more babies' lives. They feel that the right to end a precious little child's life violently is an unfettered right that women should have. And that if women don't have this right, women are never going to be able to succeed in life. They're tragically, and I would argue evil, and I know this isn't a word, evilly misguided. I think Satan's got a hold of that ship, right? He's guiding that. He is the master of lies and the master of deceit. We know that. So they're not going to go away. So we'll see what happens with this injunction. The Trump administration will have to fight back on this because they can't let one unelected rando judge, she's probably a pro-choice Democrat and probably on a board of a local Planned Parenthood, knowing Planned Parenthood, because they got to shop around where they want to get this injunction at. And usually when they get injunctions, they go to people who the spouse is on the board of a Planned Parenthood. This is what they did to David Daleiden in San Francisco after he released his footage. They went to Judge, was it Orrin Warwick or something like that? And his wife was on the board of Planned Parenthood and then didn't recuse himself. That's what they do. And they think that they're morally justified in this. So we should celebrate. I certainly celebrated this weekend with my family that we finally got Planned Parenthood defunded. It was a major step, but it's not the step. It's not the final step. So celebrate, have your little non-alcoholic victory party. I know Gen Z's ending alcohol drinking. I was seeing the stats. It's fantastic. Celebrate, be excited, be thankful for that we've been able, this generation has been able to see so many victories in the pro-life movement. I can think of so many of my heroes who fought for decades with no victories. Maybe, the small victories. They saw the small victories in front of the abortion facilities and cyber counseling. People like Joe Schuyler, Dean Nelson, Phyllis Schlafly, Jack Wilkie, Nellie Gray, right? The OG pro-life generation who fought for decades where they saw, KCV Planned Parenthood come out, the decision they thought was going to overturn Roe that actually reaffirmed Roe in the early 90s. And they would see one victory and then followed by two back steps, right? Who literally tirelessly worked for decades without major political victories. We are so lucky we've been chosen to live in this moment where we've seen victory after victory, the reversal of Roe, half of the country via states outlawing abortions, right? witnessing the most pro-life president ever be elected twice. I know you can be like, well, he said this. Yeah, you can say that, but look at his record. He's undefeated on this one. We just witnessed the Supreme Court ruling that says that states now have the authority to defund Planned Parenthood from their individual state Medicaid programs. We've just now witnessed Planned Parenthood losing their federal Medicaid funding, $500 million, 80% of their federal funding for the first time ever since like 1972 or something like that. These past few years have not been normal. They've been anything but normal. What normal was decades before pro-life advocates working and praying and sacrificing every day, day in, day out, often feeling like they had nothing to show for it. One step forward, two steps back. They would rally and lobby, fundraise and door knock and testify just to get one tiny pro-life provision or one slightly less pro-abortion provision in a state law. And then a court would block it and then you'd be back to square one. So we are so blessed to live in this moment, this time where we have this momentum. But my challenge to each of us, Pro-Life Gen, is that we can't waste it. We are standing on the shoulders of our pro-life heroes, of these giants in the pro-life movement, who worked their entire adult lives, who never even saw the outcome we are on the precipice of seeing, which is legal protection for the preborn. But we've got to bring it home. We've got to get it done. So we've got big shoes to fill and we've got a lot to do. So we have to continue our work on campuses. We have to continue our work at the state legislatures. We got to continue our work at the federal level on Capitol Hill. We have to continue our work on social media and our conversations in our churches and our communities. It now is not the time to just be like, oh yeah, we had a victory party. That's it. Nope. Now, and that's honestly, that's what some of our friends in the GOP want us to do. They want us to claim victory, sit down. I was actually DMing some people like, quit saying Planned Parenthood has just been defunded. You need to have a caveat there, been defunded for 1 year. Because when you say defunded, you're sending the signal out to the pro-life movement and to conservatives generally that the job is done. It ain't done. We still have so much more work to do. Now is the time. They are on the run. We actually have Goliath on the run. So now is the time. Put your foot on the gas pedal and give it everything you've got. Everything we've got. We cannot let up, guys. We cannot let up. Just keep going and keep tuning in to my podcast, to Students for Life social media, to the emails we send you, to the text we send you, because we're going to do our very best to lead you in the most strategic direction that's going to produce the wins of saving the most amount of lives as fast as possible to get us to complete abolition and the end of abortion in our country. That is my prayer every day, is for wisdom from God, from the Holy Spirit, that I can lead you and I have the opportunity to continue to lead you in that strategic direction. So if you can, throw up a prayer for me too. Thank you all. Thank you all for all your hard work. Enjoy this celebration of this small victory. And I hope you'll join me in recommitting to working harder than ever before and to build upon the momentum we now have. Because we've got a lot more work to do. We got to finally end Planned Parenthood, defund them for reals and forever. We have to end predatory chemical abortion pills, which are the leading type of abortion in our country. That are unfettered and are being delivered via the mail. That are harming women. That are killing babies. That are flushing 40 tons of human waste, chemically tainted human waste in our waters. I mean, there's so much we still must do. So thank you for what you have done and what you're going to do. Make sure you hit subscribe to this episode and to my show so you get more discussions like this, because like I said, there's going to be a lot more coming from me. And make sure if you haven't subscribed to my daily text line, you can text Kristan to 53445 and you'll get a daily text from me Monday through Friday of interesting news article, action item, something I saw that I want you to see. Comes from me personally. So I hope you will do that, 53445, and just have to spell my name right, Kristan. Until next week, keep speaking up for the voiceless and stand for life. Bye, everyone.